Hey there, guys. We're not even doing an intro for this one. We're not beating around the bush. We're getting right into this shit. Return to Silent Hill, finally released. The long-awaited adaptation of Silent Hill 2. One of the best stories ever told in gaming, and I saw it. Twice, actually. So, I'm just going to be frank. I can't really do this spoiler-free. I have way too much to talk about, and I just think it's going to be fully impossible to do it spoiler-free. So if you really genuinely want to see this movie, and I do think that if you like Silent Hill 2, or Silent Hill in general, I do still think it is worth going and checking out, because there are some things to like about it. However, I have a lot to say about the things it does bad. So, yeah, let's go ahead and get right into it. I will go ahead and start by saying that when this movie first came out, the reviews on Rotten Tomatoes were extremely harsh. There wasn't a lot of reviews out at first. Now that more reviews have come out, it's gone from about a 6% to maybe, I think, a 16% at the time of this recording, which is a lot more fair. So I think let's go ahead and start with the pros, the things this movie does right. First of all, visuals. I think visually this movie actually looks pretty good. I know there's a lot of people saying that it doesn't and that it's a little rough looking, and to be fair, if you're looking at it very, very objectively, like just from a film standpoint, yeah, there's some scenes that are a little rough around the edges for sure, but overall I think the vibes and the visuals, especially for like the fog and the town and Silent Hill itself, sets are fantastic. Everything feels pretty accurate to the game in that area, which is very impressive, surprisingly, for how the rest of the movie is. Part of me believes they kind of did that on purpose so that in the trailers and the teasers they could really draw in fans of the original and make them feel like they're going to see a very, very faithful adaptation, which is not what we got. I will also say there are certain little pockets of this movie that work. For example, I think James overall, he's not too terribly inaccurate in a lot of scenes. I think Jeremy Irvin does a pretty good job portraying him as well as he could with what he was given. And I also think the actress for Mary/Maria/Angela, for some reason, Hannah Emily Anderson, also really did a good job. They really tried their best. And I do think out of all of them, Hannah Emily Anderson for Mary was just a fantastic casting. Like, Jeremy, a little less visually accurate to James, but Hannah was fantastic. Like, perfect Mary. Did really good in that. And what I mean by little pockets being good is that there are scenes, for example, when James and Maria first meet, the entrance of Maria and kind of their little back and forth for the first couple of minutes after meeting feel pretty accurate to the game. The scene where James is entering Silent Hill and going into Silent Hill from the bathroom, pretty accurate. Honestly, really the first almost half of the movie is not too bad in a lot of ways, but it really starts to fall off towards the end. And of course, finally, Akira Yamaoka's soundtrack. Sadly, I don't think it was utilized as well as it could have been, and I do think there was a lot of missed opportunities to use soundtracks from the original game. But overall, Akira's, he's the GOAT. He always makes a good soundtrack, and he cooked again for this one, especially for the Moth Mary soundtrack. Absolutely fantastic stuff. I think really that's about all the nice things I have to say, so it's about time we start getting into the shit pile, because let me tell you what, we got a lot of shit to dig through. First of all, this is super trivial, but just something I feel the need to point out. They gave James a smartphone. I just don't like that, like, at all. He uses it for his flashlight for almost the first, maybe, like, 20 minutes of him being in Silent Hill, and there's literally a scene where he is having a panic attack, what appears to be, or some sort of episode, and he uses his smartphone to call his therapist, and I just think that's so stupid. I hated that scene, and it really removes the tension from that scene specifically. If you've seen it, you know which one I'm talking about. It just is so lame. When you're really trying to realize what's bad about the story here, I think its biggest issue is that it takes things from the game, and it knows the game it's adapting. And you see, that's where it really makes me upset, because it does really seem as if the people who worked on this movie, especially Christoph himself, knows Silent Hill 2. He knows what it's about. He knows the general plot points, and clearly other people who worked on this movie did. but it feels as if he took the main core plot points from Silent Hill 2 and kind of just scattered them all and threw them all into an entirely different storyline. And that really, really sucks, because I think that's almost more egregious than it would have been if he had just came up with his own story with the same characters. Because this movie just feels like a weird imitation of Silent Hill 2, but also trying to put a creative spin on it, which is just not good at all. And my big thing with it is I don't mind if they make changes, but when these changes are so unnecessary and feel like they change the entire plot, you start to lose the symbolism of the monsters and everything going on screen. It just all starts to make less sense because of the changes made to the story. What I believe to be the worst example, especially character-wise, is Angela. In my opinion, it's actually disgraceful what they did with her character. They have made her a sort of mirror of Mary, and they, guys, like, y'all, I cannot make this shit up. Her name, they made her full name Mary Angela Laura Crane.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
I can't even put into words how frustrating that was, especially when that happened in the movie. They completely misunderstood Angela, Laura, Eddie was barely in it, and hell, even Maria, they fully misunderstood Maria. And I get it's a movie, it's hard to fit everything in there when the game's about 8 hours long, but I do feel like there was a lot of wasted screen time in this movie. I feel like there was so much more time that could have been spent on the characters, side characters, and making this movie just even the smallest bit more accurate, especially when it came to Angela and Laura. It seemed like Christoph really just wanted this movie to be focused on James and Mary and no one else. So every single side character is completely sidelined to just be something involving Mary, and Eddie's just there for some reason. You also got, again, going back to the symbolism, Pyramid Head. Now, they did take the premise that Pyramid Head is a sort of mirror of James, but he took that to such an extreme that was silly, because he made Pyramid Head actually James. Like, you literally see James in the pyramid. And that's just silly. And it really removes, like, the ambiguity of Pyramid Head and the fact that that just doesn't make any sense. I mean, really, when you think about it. Like, yes, Pyramid Head is kind of supposed to be a personification of some of the darker parts of James, but he is not James. James being able to summon him in this movie, which is also something that happens, is abysmally stupid. I also don't even like that. I mean, the main plot twist is, yes, James did kill Mary, but I feel like the reason for Mary's illness in this iteration and the way she's kind of just very blunt with James about what she wants kind of makes James not even seem like the bad guy in this version, which is interesting. It's not as climactic as I think the game's version of events really was, and I feel like it makes the whole build up to that reveal feel a lot less meaningful, especially considering the entire build up to that reveal in the sense of the movie feels very random and unearned. It's just so shoehorned in because, oh yeah, James has to kill Mary. On top of that, Mary being related to the cult. So from my understanding, it is actually a fan theory that Mary is somehow related to the cult. It was weird to see them like take directions like that, similarities from fan theories, as well as the loop. They confirmed the loop theory, the in water ending, stuff like that, like more debated things in the community, and kind of threw them in there. But I just don't feel like it was worth it for this story. I don't feel like this story needed that, because part of the beauty of Silent Hill 2 is also the fact that you don't really know that much about James and Mary's relationship. You kind of feel like you can put yourself in the shoes of James and play through this story and slowly learn a bit more about their relationship. But this movie was like, what if we gave you everything about their relationship right in one go? I think really the saddest thing to me about this movie is the fact that we will probably absolutely never get another Silent Hill 2 adaptation. This is definitely it, and honestly probably never another Silent Hill movie after the flop this will inevitably be, which is really sad because Silent Hill 2 is such a fantastic, meaningful story to me and to many people, and it's a story I'd love to share with other people who don't really want to have to sit down and play an entire game to experience that story. So it really is disappointing more than anything. I didn't want this movie to be bad. It's not like I was going in there crossing my fingers, you know, hoping this would be just complete dog ass. Really, all I can say is if you do like Silent Hill, if you're interested in Silent Hill, it's still probably worth one watch just to see how you feel about it. There are things to like to an extent. I made the mistake of bringing some friends who didn't know much about Silent Hill to this, and I just... it's very hard to have to explain, no, wait, this story is good, I swear. This movie is just nothing like that story. The fans and the non-fans are all confused. So Christoph, listen, man, the first movie wasn't too bad. You know, you tried your best, but I think we gotta leave Silent Hill alone after this one, man. I saw in an interview Akira Yamaoka was talking about Christoph directing one about Silent Hill 4. Akira, I love you, man, but like, we gotta let him go. We gotta let him go, man. We just can't let him keep doing this, I fear. But again, like I said, I mean, there was an attempt here. I know Christoph clearly likes to add his own little twists and turns to the story, but I just don't think any of them really worked here. I think there are areas he could have made changes that he wanted to, but I just think every single place he tried to make a change didn't work. And I probably didn't even go through all of the things I didn't like about it here. I just had to yap about this because I had so many thoughts. But yeah. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope some people enjoyed this movie for what it was, because God knows I tried.